Just beyond the centre of Birmingham stands Highbury, home to one of the most important political dynasties of Britain, the Chamberlains. A house where throughout the late Edwardian era and early 20th century, ideas were formed and decisions taken that would shape the history of Britain and the world beyond. Highbury was originally built as the home of one of the most iconic figures of Birmingham, Joseph Chamberlain. He was a mayor whose radical thinking created the template for modern civil government and made Birmingham known as the best governed city in the world.
Chamberlain is an enormously important person, not only in the history of Birmingham, not only in the history of the UK, but actually when we think about Britain in the world, Chamberlain is a very, very significant figure. And to have this home as his place for his ideas, his philosophy, his legacy, is a really wonderful jewel for Birmingham.
Highbury stands out for me because it is very beautiful. There aren't many places like it. You can really feel the life and times of Highbury as it was many years ago. We just want it to be a thriving, exciting, vital place where lots of people come and enjoy learning about Chamberlain and his life and reflect on its relevance today.
What's amazing is that this house in Birmingham was at the epicentre of thinking about Britain's place in the world. Chamberlain, as colonial secretary, as someone who thought about the future of Britain within its empire, thought really hard about how Britain could make its way in the world, its connections with its colonies, its identity, and all of that happening from Highbury.
The house remains a fine example of the Victorian Gothic architecture which came to symbolise Birmingham's civic buildings and the city's new concept of government. The architect was J.H. Chamberlain, who was no relative.
Highbury is one of J.H. Chamberlain's greatest works, and it's this gorgeous medley of elements of Venetian Gothic, of that kind of Victorian domesticity which we associate with the latter half of the 19th century. So it's a very important house in terms of the history of British domestic design as well as the home of Joseph Chamberlain.
Highbury was the family home where Joseph's sons, Austin, who became Foreign Secretary, and Neville, who was also a reforming Mayor of Birmingham and later Prime Minister, spent their formative years. It was also a house cherished by the people of Birmingham. As guests of Joseph Chamberlain, hundreds of them enjoyed his annual garden parties and shared in other celebrations of Joe's achievements. And after his death, the house and grounds provided a convalescent home throughout the Great War for wounded soldiers. The house was gifted by Austin for the general benefit of the citizens of Birmingham, and in 1921, a public park was created, providing 75 acres of open space, which is still enjoyed by the city's people. But today, Highbury urgently needs care and conservation. The decades have taken their toll on the fabric of the building, while the grounds have lost many of their original features. These challenges have been taken on by the Chamberlain Highbury Trust. Established in 2016, the Trust have conducted extensive public consultations to establish the wishes of Birmingham's communities. As a result, their mission is not only to preserve and restore the house and grounds, but also to reflect the civic philosophy of Joseph Chamberlain. They aim to do this by engaging the people of the city and beyond in the leadership of the region and the country.
One of the more important things is that we get a lot of young people into Highbury. We want young people to come and learn about Chamberlain, to become involved in political life. And we want them to take an interest in how places like Birmingham are governed and the issues of today.
From the point of view of the grounds, the work of the Trust is very important because although the house was refurbished in 1984, the grounds were not taken into account. The plans are to re-establish the paths, to improve the water bodies, which have got very overgrown, and to open up the views. So hopefully you will see Highbury as the Chamberlains themselves saw it.
Highbury is ideally situated to reflect the ethnic diversity and youth of a city, where over 40% of the population is aged under 25 years.
I've grown up in Birmingham, so to me Highbury has always been there as a hall that I've visited over the years. If you look at what the Chamberlains represented, the importance of civic life was what they really pioneered. And I think the hall will play a really leading part in re-energising young people to take a really positive look at future governance, to be involved in civic life and to create some civic leaders. It'll be a place where local communities can say, it belongs to us, and we're proud of it.
A house like this, which is so interesting and important historically, really should be open to the public. The family, I'm sure, intended that it should be open to the public because they left it for their benefit. It's a very exciting project, and it's so worthwhile.
Following an extensive refurbishment programme of the house, the Trust is committed to opening Highbury to everyone.
This is about using this space to think about the future of the city. It's really important that the communities in Birmingham, the city of Birmingham, gets behind the restoration. It'll send a really strong message of support about valuing heritage, but also using this great past to build a really strong and inclusive future.